The burden of fresh initiatives in leadership have to really be revised and relooked. The current paradigms that we have in leadership, driven by either national interests, corporate interests from companies, or various others, as in the larger ego, still, to my sense, I believe, have kept humanity at large, at bay, from something that I define as consciousness. And I don't think we have still made it there. So the theme of my topic today will be consciousness in leadership. As it says here, sustainable development and the stewardship ethic. By stewardship, I'm referring to the fact that I've just described, a moral ground for consciousness, higher aspiring leadership, something that is distinct from the agricultural age, from the industrial age, from the information revolution age. Something that is related to what Dr. Stephen R.J. Covey refers to as knowledge worker age. And we've been talking about knowledge quite in the earlier sessions in detail. So that is why probably I was by default or by design, I don't know, put into the fresh perspectives. That stillness has been with you, and as Rumi the poet has described it, it's been with you when you were in the wombs of your mothers. That stillness has been with you when you were a baby, as a child, as an adolescent, and as an adult. That is what is missing. We have lost our souls in many ways, and in our own areas we have little earthquakes happening in our lives. Stresses imposed, family, work, the race, the competition. This competition, as for Darwinian evolution, has been described as the struggle for the survival of the fittest. We need to change that kind of vocabulary now. I don't think we're, otherwise we're just animals here. I'm sorry to say that. I'll describe this from various cultures and how they see it. And you will look into the fact that the survival of fitness can be changed to the survival of the wisest. Because if we don't do that transformation within the next 50 years, we won't have a planet to live on. We will lead our own mass extinction. That is a subject matter that is highly in debate all around the world at present. So I'm mixing this with leadership, mixing it with consciousness. The question is the human race now a happier race, or is the scale of happiness constantly receding? The modern age has seen many drastic events, but also good ones as well. Don't get my vocabulary wrong here. Most catastrophic of all, we have seen the gradual decline of our environment. Today we are facing overwhelming environmental degradation. The question that we now face are, how to time at the expense of the third world? And there's a lot of responsibility from the first world that needs to be shared, and we have to take care of people in underdeveloped countries as well, because actually they are paying the biggest price environmentally. 95% of all the known species of flora and fauna within the next 40 years are going to be extinct. Polar ice cap melting. I'll try not to make it an Al Gore presentation. I'll run very quickly through this. And within the next 60 odd years, we'll have half of what we have now, leading to sea level rise. This is an example of a very good best practice worldwide. We had a problem with ozone depletion, and with consensus and global consciousness in leadership, we got the will and the drive, and we managed to solve this problem. And as you see it now, it has just become far better, and the ozone cover in the poles has come back to its normal level. This has happened because CFC was banned worldwide. There's various other things that we need to probably look into. If not ban, at least to control. Objective analysis of modern science. David Suzuki is a distinguished professor of genetics at the University of British Columbia. In an interview, Suzuki states the following. Albert Einstein was asked by a good friend of his, do you think that everything in this universe can be explained through science? And Einstein's answer was that it could be done, but it would be a meaningless explanation. A physicist could not describe a Beethoven symphony accurately as possible, variations in wave pressure, but that would tell you nothing about what Beethoven's work really is. What Einstein was saying is that a straight description misses the deeper meaning. We're all focused on straight descriptions. Balance sheet as an example. If people involved in the Human Genome Project think that by logging the entire 3 billion letters in the genome, they are suddenly going to have an understanding of what it means to be human, they are missing the boat. They will have a set of linear instructions, but the blueprint has to operate in a 4-dimensional world, and we know very little about that. Miller's environmental science working with the earth is considered as a source of reference book on this subject. He states, the world's military expenditure per year is over 1,080 billion US dollars. That is quite, if that kind of money could be funded to WHO, UNICEF, charity organizations, the goals that were set by UN to help underdeveloped nations, the gap between the rich and poor would have been far lesser. I'm not going to go and quote all of them, but all of the quotations that you see here are talking about materialistic science. Materialistic science can only give you how. It won't tell you why. And that's where consciousness has to come back into place into science. Science is beautiful, it's done wonders, but somehow it's lost its consciousness. And that is why we are so troubled, because we just somehow exploited this planet using materialistic science. I will just mention a few key words. Hodge calls it cultural evolution. We need to go to a new next form of evolution called the cultural evolution, which is just at bay, and it's happening. Sustainable development best practices in UAE. Everybody knows this gentleman here, father of the nation here. Sheikh Zayed is really a true champion of the earth. He has been given this honor by the United Nations Environmental Program for his various contributions towards environmental development and sustainability. Masdar is an example of it, which I'll discuss a bit later. Also, IRENA, International Renewable Energy Agency, which is with its headquarters in Abu Dhabi, chosen. This was the champion who initiated all that. We'll come back to that a little bit later. One of the awards, the most prestigious award, 1.5 million every year, is given to the champion. This person here, an engineer, he provided electricity to many villages in Bangladesh last year just by using solar energy, and he was awarded by the Sheikh Zayed Annual Environmental Prize. That is a true example of good leadership. That's master for you. Within the next 5 years, this city will be ready. A new era in the human advancement in terms of sustainability. It can inhabit, by the last phase is complete, 90,000 inhabitants. No cars. Everything will be run on renewable forms of energy. So bravo to Sheikh Zayed little community center. That was such an honorable day last year in January. And just to see what we are doing there to empower the people with community center, training and development, research and development, best practices, the laboratory we have there for R&D. Anyhow, coming back to Dr. Sultan, everybody knows that he has established so many cultural, Sharjah is the cultural capital of the Middle East here, courtesy of this gentleman in many ways. And this is one of the places that I really love and my children really enjoy going here. It's the breeding center for endangered species. There's less than 60 of these animals alive. Pantropodus lemur, the Arabian leopard, less than 60. And focusing on this gentleman managed to breed them again in captivity, hoping that sooner or later in the future we can release these beautiful animals back into the wild. Take your children there, it's a beautiful place to visit. A bit of a poetic metaphor I'll use, which is mentioned by Rumi. Deepak Chopra mentions it as well. We're in a caterpillar state now. Burden can be a butterfly. And the caterpillar can turn into a butterfly. There are cells inside the butterfly which are known as creative cells by biologists now. And Rumi described this in one of his poems. You can turn the caterpillar into a butterfly. Save the drive and the consciousness is missing. Interdependence is the key. Einstein has been talking about it all the time. So has John Lennon, Al Gore. Obama is talking about it all the time now via Gandhi. He has a picture of Gandhi in the oval. Carl Sagan has been talking about it. Daniel Goleman, emotional intelligence, he coined the word. He's talking about this new consciousness in leadership. It's a behavioral problem that we are dealing with. Examples of proactive leadership in CAF Holdings. We're patronizing so many people to come in and do something about this consciousness. We sponsored a Sustainable Development Congress from India. This person provided water, pools. So many villages in India sponsored that. Community center, we're welcome to have a visit. Teaching the students of our staff. We're patronizing university students to come in and do projects with us. Shivana Faisal Foundation in Mahe, India for especially physically challenged children. R&D center. What we're doing for recycling, we have sun pipes. During the day we don't switch on any electricity. We have sun pipes, solar energy in all the office areas. We don't need lights. We don't need the electrical lights. It's just solar panels. Various others. So Training and Development Academy. I don't know if any of you has watched The Secret or What the Bleed, Gandhi, Peaceful Warrior. They're fantastic. If anyone wants to share all this new consciousness with me, I'm more than happy. These are the modules we taught last year to raise this new consciousness amongst our team. It's a hard road. It's not easy. We did this charity run for Haiti, generated about 151,000 dirhams, and collected a lot of clothing. Just last week, I got 3 days deadline from Faisal to get this together with Dr. Rashid gave us the permit to go ahead, and his team. Dr. Tariq also, 15 people, donated a lot of amount as well. Thank you for that. Conclusion. Scientists warn us of the catastrophic end results of ignoring the law of balance and set in nature. Survival beyond the next century seems to depend on whether or not we can actualize the principles of sustainable development by inculcating a stewardship ethic in the new world leadership. Conclusion. Let us conclude by saying, for need there is lot, for greed there is very little. I've kind of amended Gandhi's statement here. And only that way of life will survive, which is beneficial for the whole of humanity, not only for the few. Thank you very much.